This week's specials for Miles Franklin are 2023 1-ounce silver kangaroos, only $3.19 over spot, 90% dimes and quarters, $2.75 over spot, and quarter-ounce gold eagles for $69 over melt. We have a massive inventory and cheap prices. Folks, you could text, email, or call slayer@milesfranklin.com, and I'd be happy to help. Now let's get into the video. Welcome back, folks. In 2 days, just 2 days away, I'm going to drive to an airport. I'm going to hop in an airplane, fly up in the sky, and jump out of that airplane. Right before I jump out, I'm going to scream two people's names. The two names are the two winners of my silver giveaway. The link's in the description or the pinned comment. Yes, I'm going skydiving with a GoPro attached to my head, and I will be announcing the winners up in the air for you all to watch live. It's going to be quite a sight to see, so make sure you subscribe and don't miss out. But before we break down the article, I wanted to share something with you all. I have a clothing line called AG47 Apparel, and it's slayersmerch.com if you wanted to purchase any of this, but it doesn't feel like my merch because there's no Silver Slayer logo on it or has anything to do with me. I wanted it to be clothing for silver stackers. This is a hoodie I like a lot, slightly skeptical, as everyone should be. We have different colorways as well. This is the greedy shirt. I like these because on the back it says priceless for the shirt as well. You could wear sparks conversation. It's unique and I think it looks good, and I made sure that it's all affordable as well. So yeah, anyways, slayersmerch.com. So a lot of news has been coming out lately about silver, but it seems like people are now focusing on the industrial side of things and not so much the monetary side like they did with gold, which I've been predicting would happen for a very long time now. You've heard me say this time and time again. Eventually, silver will take on a life of its own and detach from gold, because why are the prices so directly and finely correlated when they're used for two completely different things? So we're going to start to see silver do what it does because of the pure fundamentals of what makes precious metals so valuable in the first place, which is the physical metal, supply and demand, the fundamentals. Those are the pure dynamics. And when you have one metal that is extremely scarce and the other that isn't, especially when the extremely scarce one has many more uses than the other one that is not very hard to come across, it's very common. Most gold gets remelted, reused, re-scrapped, recycled, where most silver is thrown away in landfills. Well, of course, the other metal that is scarce, record-breaking supply deficits the last few years, and people are predicting will continue to go on, breaking new records, hundreds of millions of ounces in the red. Of course that metal's going to start to have an upper edge. Of course, right? That's what we're seeing now, is more people talking about this. It's stuff that we've been reviewing on my channel for a long time. It's just not as hard to come across an article like this nowadays. Actually, there's a few. We also have this one from mining.com that was posted a couple days ago, titled "Global Silver Deficit to Rise in 2024 Due to Higher Demand and Lower Supply." We also have another article that came out 2 days ago or 3 days ago, "Silver's Record Industrial Demand and Deficit to Underpin Prices," right? So we're going back to the fundamentals of what gives something value. You learn this in investing school. In the imaginary investing school, this would be rule number one. To determine something's value, you look at its fundamentals, supply and demand. Low supply, high demand does what? Does what? Pushes the price up. That's with everything. And that's exactly what's happening with silver. Silver industrial demand hits record highs, up 11% in 2023. In 2023, silver industrial demand surged by 11%, hitting a new record of 654.4 million ounces. Photovoltaic PV usage alone soared by 64%, surpassing expectations. And yet, they were way off. They were like 50 million ounces off. They were predicting the supply deficit would be like 140 million ounces, something along those lines, and it was actually almost 200 million ounces in the red, like 190 something million ounces. And they thought production would actually be up 2% this year, fixing the deficit, closing the gap, but actually it was down 2%. So it got way worse and is continuing to. So green economy applications were the driving force behind this growth, particularly in electrical and electronics, power grids, construction, automotive electrification, right? There's 5G towers, silver lithium ion batteries. Then you have countries like India importing 265% more silver since February of 23. So with demand consistently outpacing supply for the third year in a row, the market faced a structural deficit of 184 million ounces, like I mentioned, right? I said 190 something. The article I read, they did mention it was 190 something. They're saying 184 million ounces here. Okay, who really knows, especially when they don't even incorporate military and aerospace in these numbers, when those two sectors outperform solar alone. So the biggest sector, the solar, right? Solar uses the most amount of silver. For the annual numbers, majority is solar. Well, number one at least is solar. Second is EVs, obviously. But military and aerospace actually use more silver than solar alone. But since military and aerospace isn't incorporated in the Silver Institute's annual numbers, then there's this boogeyman in the corner that's actually using much more silver than is even shown. So if the record-breaking supply deficits are already sitting at these levels, it's actually much, much, much worse. But they just don't incorporate the numbers anymore. Why? Well, that's the military keeping the cost of production down and keeping everyone happy. But then you have China saying, you know what, screw the short sellers and market riggers. We're going to buy up all the silver. Now let's focus on silver, folks. Buy it up because we know they're shorting the price. We know they're suppressing the price. So we'll get it for their prices, get it cheaper. Then we can set the narrative, especially since the BRICS are creating their own new digital currency backed by physical commodities. So they will normalize silver's price. When I say normalized price, I mean pushing the value to where it should be, without this COMEX corruption. So so some of the key findings include silver demand declined by 7% to 1,195 million ounces in 2023. Largely due to price-sensitive sectors like physical investment, jewelry, and silverware. However, industrial demand reached record highs primarily in electrical and electronic sector, which grew by 20%. And think about this. That's just in 1 year. It grew 20%. So imagine like by the year 2027, imagine what the supply and demand fundamentals would look like then. Because every year, we're producing less and less silver, but demand is outpacing it tenfold. So there's going to become a period of time where we literally just don't have enough for all these sectors to be fulfilled. And that's why you've seen some silver stackers urging, the Federal Reserve to aid military with silver before solar, because silver is used in warfare. Wouldn't you want the military to have silver to make the nukes and the missiles and the drones and the rockets, compared to using that silver for a solar panel instead? Meaning that our military isn't as strong because we're focusing on going green and climate change, and some people not even believing climate change is real or that it's a big problem. So we're basically just wasting silver and weakening our own military and boosting our opportunity of getting attacked or even being put in a very dangerous situation, all for nothing, all because of this ideology that goes against the American citizen to the fullest degree. And some people are saying it's not, this isn't just happening naturally, but this is us poking the bear purposely, causing this to occur on purpose. Who knows? I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what's happening right now with silver and the military, if you haven't seen my video. So Chinese silver demand increased 44% to 261 million ounces, primarily due to green applications, particularly PV. China's rapid expansion accounted for 90% of global panel shipments in 2022. U.S. demand remained steady at 128.1 million ounces, while Japan's offtake remained unchanged. Look at this. Chinese industrial demand increased 44%. Silver industrial demand, 44%. These are massive numbers. And I feel like some of you don't understand the severity of this or how important this is, because the silver shortage has already been dire with very, very scary consequences, right? Yeah, we make a pretty penny, but at what cost? At what cost? If we need silver for war, and the U.S. is involved in how many wars now? More than I can count on one hand. Then what is that saying? If the military has already raided our silver reserves, the Defense Department raided our silver reserves last year already. So we're already on, trying to find scrapes. So it's only going to get worse before it gets any better. In 2023, silver jewelry fabrication decreased by 13% to 203.1 million ounces, primarily in India. So we can go over that, but that's the numbers. I'm not going to go into what, India's physical investment dropped 38%, or, with a value-added tax that Germany experienced, yada, yada. Okay, you see the numbers right here. Supply, demand, recycling, hedging. Then you have the demand, jewelry, silverware. You can see all that. Now let's go into supply. Global silver mine supply fell by 1% to 830 million ounces in 2023. The output was significantly affected by fourth suspension of operations at Newmont's Penasquito mine in Mexico following a labor strike, which is huge because Mexico is the biggest producer. Actually, Mexico and Peru, those two countries alone, produce almost half of all silver production annually. Like 40-something percent, just those two countries alone. So last year, Mexico was leading in silver mining, followed by China, Peru, Chile, and Bolivia. Yeah, it's like China, or it's Mexico, Peru, China, Australia, Africa. Those places are the ones that are digging up all the silver, but Mexico and Peru account for a huge percentage, and China is actually the biggest consumer. So silver recycling, which accounted for 18% of total supply last year, grew by 1%. To 178.6 million ounces. Looking at this year, which is something that you gotta look forwards, because that's especially with all the new innovations that are being created in this new digital era, it's all going to require more silver. So this year is expected to be a strong year for total silver demand, with a 2% growth forecast. Industrial fabrication is expected to reach an all-time high of 9%. Driven by a 20% PV market gain and healthy offtake from other industries. Silver supply is expected to decrease by 1% this year, resulting in a projected 215.3 million ounce deficit, the second largest market deficit in over 20 years. Wow. So we're already hitting several hundred million, or a couple hundred. This is insane. 200 million ounces in the red, they're predicting. And last year was 180-something million ounces in the red. And the year before that was 100 and something million ounces in the red. That is bonkers. That is insane to think about. And just think about, because everyone's looking at it from this perspective. Okay, well, yeah, that's right now. I'm not looking at it from right now. What about in 3 or 4 years from now? What would the deficits be, and how would those deficits affect the market's price? Because supply and demand always do catch up. So silver's potential in the energy transition and beyond traditional applications is significant with its incorporation in AI, which silver is used in AI chips, which is going to be huge, transportation, nanotechnology, biotechnology, healthcare, consumer wearables, computing, data center energy becoming indispensable materials. Then we have silver's price increased by 7% 2023, reaching a 30% increase as of April 12th, causing the gold to silver ratio to drop below 82 to 1, its lowest since early December of 23. I mean, this stuff is insane. And then we even have right here mentioning that, I'll probably have to break this down in another video. Oh no, it's a short article, we can talk about it here. So mentioning the deficit is expected to rise by 17%, 215 million ounces in 2024, due to a 2% growth in demand led by robust industrial consumption and 1% fall in total supply. So we're talking about over 200 million ounces in the red. That is insane. That is insane. Like, what are we going to do? And this is a perfect example of why $28 silver is still extremely, extremely cheap. Listen to this. Quote, "The deficit in the silver market helps to provide robust support and a strong floor for the price." So if we're already building stability at $28 and these numbers are only going to get worse, then that means This is the new floor. It can't keep dropping when there's fundamentals, and that's why they're called safe haven assets. Because if this was something that was just a currency or just a digit on a number on a screen with no real physical intrinsic value, the metal itself coming out of the ground, then you could say, okay, well that means nothing. But you have to actually acknowledge that silver is used for physical materials coming out of the ground, which that will hold it, that has a much stronger effect on the price beyond speculation, or even you could argue the dollar index, or what stock market volatility is doing. Because everything's pushing and pulling silver's price in different directions. Gold pushes silver this percent. Bitcoin pushes silver this percent. Stock market pushes silver this percent. Speculation pushes silver this percent. The dollar index pushes silver this percent. Oil this percent, right? All these different things, but the fundamentals have the biggest affect the price the most. The supply and demand. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We have this last article right here we could cover real quick. They're talking about silver's record industrial demand deficit to underpin prices. So yeah, basically mentioning that with demand where it's at, and with prices stabilizing at $28, this is a new floor, which means say goodbye to the days of $24, $25 silver, and say hello to $30+ silver for the foreseeable future. And who knows after that, once it steadily stays above 30, we will be in unknown waters, because last time we had stable prices above 30 was when it was on its way to $50 over 10 years ago. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. Make sure you email me if you want to purchase some silver or gold or platinum or palladium. Got great deals, new deals tomorrow morning actually, so stay tuned for those as well. But you can still take advantage of these deals, and I'll work with you. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.